Okay, so we're going to Mr. Holland. We'll go to Mr. Holland to start this one.
Okay, this question is, what is the biggest challenge facing Franklin, and how, as a council member, would you address it?
So I feel like the biggest challenge is facing Franklin is small business development. And, you know, Franklin has a unique opportunity right now with hospital property to bring in business. We have nothing here that keeps our younger generation here to work. And this is an opportunity that we have to expand our downtown and make it bigger and bring in business, bring in restaurants, maybe bring in a conference center or a small hotel. You know, we need to start looking for things that will bring people here for the weekend. We need to have people coming in on the weekends and spending their money on Main Street, in our restaurants, in our local shops that are paying tax and bringing it back to the town, bringing the money back to the town. That way that we can further our advancement in our infrastructure. Thank you.
So, I'm not sure what the rest of y'all intend to say, but my guess is a lot of them will kind of go part and parcel. The way that I see it, I think right now Franklin's biggest problem is a lack of direction. I think that's something that I have seen just from living and working here in town is I see that Franklin is growing, but is it growing with purpose and intention? Have we been asking ourselves as a community, like, what we want this place to be like 30 or 50 years from now? The kind of community that we want to see here 30 or 50 years from now. It's true, folks in my age demographic are a bit of an anomaly in this town. The reason that I'm here is like a barnacle. I decided to stick here and stay, by golly, one way or the other. So I would like to see us have a vision moving forward. There's a lot of beautiful towns in Western North Carolina. I think Waynesville is a great example. I was down on Main Street, Waynesville. They have more trees on Main Street than we do. And I kind of miss some of the trees that we took down recently. And I know that there's reasons that those trees came down, but it takes a long time to grow a perfectly good tree, you know? So that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see us with a direction moving forward. And then maybe that will help bind together a lot of the other problems that we're facing. Thank you.
One of the biggest problems that I feel Franklin is facing is infrastructure. And within the infrastructure, you need to look at your freshwater, your wastewater, your police force, and your fire department. Right now, Franklin is able to process approximately 1.2 million gallons of fresh water daily, with a maximum of up to 2 million gallons daily. We are in the freshwater department is in the process of doing the clear well upgrade. When it is completed, they will be able to process up to 4 million gallons daily. With that, taking that into consideration, the wastewater plant is equally as important. It's going to have to keep up with the demands of the need for the fresh water. Right now, the wastewater treatment plant is processing about 750,000 gallons of waste a day, with a maximum of 1.65 million gallons for it to fall under the state guidelines for treating. The street repair must be able to take the wear and tear of the projected growth of Franklin, as well as the potholes being taken care of and the sidewalks being passable by foot. When I look at the police protection, with the projected growth of Franklin, they're going to need adequate funding for supplies, equipment, vehicles, and I also agree with some of the rest of the potential council members that their wages need to be more competitive to keep us from losing them to another area. But as I look at Chief Foreman in the back, I feel the same way about his department. He needs to be adequately staffed, have the proper amount of equipment, supplies, and the vehicles needed for the current growth that is happening and the projected growth that is coming in the very near future. Thank you.
I think we need to find more jobs for our young people here. We have plenty of fast food joints, but very little career type jobs. One of the main troubles we have here in town is drugs. People driving around with no tags on vehicles, no insurance. We need, and speeding. I would like to work with law enforcement officers and the chief and try to obtain better pay and better backing for our officers.
Thank you.
The question was, what is the biggest challenges facing Franklin, how I plan to solve it? Finding the money to fund these projects. It's going to be tough, but we can do it. We're just going to have to keep it off the backs of the taxpayers. New police officers, staffing, that's going to cost. But we'll figure out how to do it. We had a tax that didn't pass a few years back. It was going to help. I think it was like a 1 cent tax on sale, three-quarter, and it failed. Taxes went up. So I like to see that come back, catch the tourists, let them pay for it. When we go out of town, we're paying for it. You go to Gatlinburg, you're buying them stuff for their schools, stuff for their police department. You go to Atlanta, you're paying for their stuff. Well, we pay for it here. Thank you.
I'd like to echo what many of the other candidates have said. Most of the youth, after high school leave the area. And there are very few jobs that can sustain people in careers here in the long term. And even some of our wonderful companies, like Drake Software, I've heard they've started hiring a lot of remote employees and are not, necessarily requiring new employees to come here. And one thing I would like to do is talk to the leaders of many of the larger companies here and see what we can do to, help people have better jobs here. Now, part of that might be after talking with them and seeing what they need, talking to the schools and see if, either additional classes or after school programs can be set up to help make sure that the youth here have these skills necessary to fuel wonderful jobs here. I want to make the soil of Franklin fertile for investment by other companies. But you have to be careful how you do these things. If you look at some of the decisions the federal government have done over the last 10 or 20 years, there's a difference between when you try to guide things too much, you often throw tons of money at things that go nowhere, such as the California Rail that they spent $7 billion on it, and they might have built a mile, but it doesn't sound like it. They spent hundreds of millions of dollars on Cylinder for electric batteries, and I think it actually got up to $2 billion, and the company went bankrupt afterwards and didn't make any batteries. So there's hopefully I can talk about this more later.
We have another 90 seconds of this bit. Ms. Lane.
I think the biggest challenge that we have in town is investment, bringing money into the community from outside, as well as the people that live here and are already investing, helping them and encouraging them to keep investing in our local economy, to have them keep investing in creating more and more jobs, and working with them to find out, what is it that we could do as a town that would help them continue to invest and to sustain their investment. Almost all of Main Street is full right now, and those are local people investing and making jobs. So I think investment's the major issue. Then we have, as we mentioned earlier, the Angel Hospital space that's going to be potentially available very soon. And what we'll need to do with that is to to find investors probably from outside. But we want investors that respect our values, respect our community, respect our beautiful mountain place, and that will help us keep our history and culture. Invest and find investors that will match what we already have instead of trying to change us too drastically and too quickly. I also think that we need to rely on expertise that will help us look at what we need and what kinds of jobs that we can continue to develop and we can bring into Franklin. Small business is the lifeline of small communities. It's not going to be a big old factory coming in here, and that's probably not what we'd want anyway. But to help keep our investments in the local community, help us grow and help us develop. And that's what I think is the biggest challenge, is finding investors that match our values and match the community.
I'll piggyback a little bit on what Ms. Selene said in terms of looking for investment in the community and sort of the tension between looking for that investment and make sure those folks share our mountain values. I think it speaks to a bigger, more overreaching issue, which I think is the biggest issue, and that is when I look around the room tonight, I can tell you the makeup of this room in terms of where people were born and raised is different than it was a couple of decades ago. This place has grown, it's going to continue to grow, and you know why it's going to continue to grow, because it's a place that we love, the natural beauty, the small town atmosphere, and that's that tension. So I would say the biggest issue is, how do you balance the growth that we know that's going to come, and at the same time maintain our Franklin values. That growth, I think what you've heard tonight in terms of issues with crime, affordable housing, all of those other issues are a symptom of the growth that we're experiencing. And I'm proud that we're working on addressing some of those. I'm glad we've got 90 more seconds, because I want to talk about each of those issues. But starting with law enforcement and our fire department, we've been in conversations already about what the needs are in terms of salary increases potentially, what the needs are in terms of where people are ranked in our step process, where they are in the system as employees based on their experience. And so you can look for some work on that fairly quickly, because of course fire and police protection are fundamental jobs of what we do in town council.
Thank you. Another 90 seconds. Mr. Holland.
As everybody says, Franklin has grown. I mean, it used to be a time when you could go to the grocery store to get one item, and it would take an hour to get through that line, and that's gone. We used to go to restaurants and know everybody in the restaurants, know our waitresses, know our waiters, know our bartenders, and that's gone. And what we've got to do with this growth is we've got to meet it. And when we meet it, hopefully we can do that by keeping the beauty of Franklin and keeping our mountain heritage with it. And we can also, hopefully create jobs, keep young people here, make sure they stay here for a generation, and have the small town feel, and be able to raise kids. being a new, with a young family with a 4 and a 2-year-old, it's nice being in Franklin, nice being able to walk down the street, nice knowing that we're not a little Asheville, but we got to be careful and with all of that. And thank you.
Well, not to just lay on the quotes tonight, but there's another one that I really love and I think about quite often. Everyone wants to save the world. Nobody wants to do the dishes. So that's kind of, well, not to be too tongue-in-cheek, but that's how I ended up here tonight. I think moving forward and facing all of these issues, ultimately, that's kind of what's on the line here. It's time to buckle in and do the dishes. All of us are passionate about doing that. Hopefully you guys can tell. I know that you are too. Each of us has to sit and look around right where we're at and ask ourselves, how can we make this place a better place? So moving forward, man, I want to hear more from y'all. And I hope that I can be accessible to do just that. Yeah, win or lose, I'm here, I'll be in Franklin, I love this place, but let's do this together, right?
As I look out into the audience, I see a lot of familiar faces, that a lot of us have a vested interest in Franklin. We want to keep seeing Franklin moving forward and growing, but moving forward and growing in a manner that's going to be sustainable. We got to make sure that we can provide the clean water to drink. We got to make sure that there's a wastewater treatment plant to dispose of the waste. We need to make sure that the police and the fire department are adequately staffed for the growth. And without all this, Franklin would not be heading in the right direction if we don't have a strong infrastructure. And after looking over the budget and seeing all the preparations that are being made into the future, different departments looking forward on what they need and how it's being looked at and funds set aside on a yearly basis, I think that's what Franklin's got to continue to do in order to move forward in a sustainable manner.
Mr. Cook?
I was going to talk to the chief. I asked to talk to him today, but I never got to. So I was wanting to ask him a question. Do we have anything in the town here where we give officer appreciation? We do. Also, do we do stuff for Christmases for families and stuff like that? That's great. That's all I was wanting to ask.
Thank you. Mr. Cooper?
Infrastructure is a big thing we need to look at. Right below my house, there's a 80-unit condo going in, and we need to make sure our sewer lines, our water lines are all up to date. My house got flooded out twice in my life. One time in 1989, one time 2001, I believe, by the city sewer. City sewer got clogged up, backed up, come through my toilet, lost everything I had. We got that taken care of, but they made sure it never was going to happen again. They redid the sewer line on my street. I've talked to several people in town, they're having issues with their sewer and their water. Very Cove, I think, is one of them. We need to address these issues and get it taken care of. I hate to ever see anybody go through what I'm doing. Thank you.
We're on the second half of the challenges question, right? You've heard a lot of great ideas here. One important part when you have so many different ideas is prioritizing and juggling. And I'm very good at prioritizing and juggling. And sometimes you can arrange your tasks so one helps the other, helps the other, helps the other. And I'm very good at that as well. Thank you for your time.
Ms. Lane?
Just to reiterate, I do think that investment is the biggest challenge that we have. Investment in housing that our police, our fire department people, our school teachers can live in, and I think we need to work hard to attract that kind of investment. Investment in our infrastructure. To be able to do any of these things, we have to have investment, and so as we bring resources in, I think that the council, a role of the town council is to figure out with the resources that we have, what those priorities are, and work as hard as we can to attract more resources into the town. Our town staff does a great job in keeping their eyes open for what kinds of grants are out there, what kinds of opportunities are out there, and doing the work necessary to bring things into the town. And I think that they'll continue to do that because they're just excellent. So, infrastructure and attracting investment.
That's a long list of things. I just wanted to say to Mr. Holland that if you get elected, those 1-hour grocery store trips are going to come back because you can't go through the grocery store as a member of town council without getting stopped in almost every aisle. I think everything that we've heard those are valid issues. A lot of those we currently have initiatives to work on. We have water and sewer infrastructure plan that we're working through. A lot of other infrastructure projects through our bike ped plan, through our comprehensive plan. I would reiterate what Ms. Lane said in terms of our staff and what a wonderful job they do in carrying those plans forward. Specifically, though, a couple of really big, I would say, projects that will have generational change in Franklin are the hospital property and the redesign of Main Street. And we got off of a long call this morning, and I'm going to violate my time. I'm sorry. We got off of a call this morning with the Development Finance Institute about the hospital property. They're doing the study over here. Learned a lot of news about what the economic viability looks like. So you hear a feasibility study and you kind of glaze over, but in a situation like this where we're looking to make a significant investment in a property that could change our downtown, we want to know down to the dollar exactly what the return's going to be, exactly what kind of development we need to look at. And so that's a big, just an example of one of the big opportunities. And I'll reiterate again, I think that for those kinds of game-changing opportunities, you need someone with some experience. Thanks.